When should you let someone go? That's probably a question that's burning in your mind because you've been noticing that you're struggling with some of your friendships, your relationship maybe, or even some of your family members. So when should you finally rip the band-aid off and let people go? I'm going to put this as simply as I can. And I do want you to know that I've struggled with this most of my life. I am someone who's always been an open book with people in my life. I'm very open and honest and playful, and I don't hold back when I share what's going on with my friends or family members. But what I found throughout the course of my life is that people weren't really letting me in. And that can happen in two ways. It can happen when you're sharing a story or something that you're excited about, and people just feel the need to criticize you or a need to nitpick what you're saying or to correct you in some way. It can also be that they're not letting you into what's going on in their life. So maybe you find that you volunteer a lot of information about yourself to some of your friends and you're not getting much back in return. So that's usually a sign that someone is not as invested in you as you're invested in them. In other words, you care about them way too much and it's not being reciprocated. I think that if you have someone in your life who is willing to grow and listen, no one's expecting you or me or anyone to be perfect. But if there's kind of like a window that's cracked open and they're able to ruminate on your perspective and to hear what you have to say, and they're able to grow from that and learn from that, then there's no need to let them go. I'm talking specifically about people who don't want to hear anything you have to say, who don't acknowledge your feelings, who don't allow your vulnerable self to be in the room. It's almost like the second that you start sharing your feelings and what you're going through, they recoil. They're uncomfortable in that energy. And that's because they're uncomfortable within their own skin. They don't know how to be there for you because they don't know how to be there for themselves. But are you responsible for that? Are you supposed to continue to endure that? Or are you supposed to value yourself and respect yourself and walk away from these relationships? So, why don't we start with family? Because that's a hot topic. I feel like every time I talk about letting people go, everyone's like, but what about my mom? What about my sister? What about my dad? I'll make it really easy for you. If you have family members who want you or expect you to show up as the old version of you, that they actually groomed and molded, right? They molded you to be one version of yourself, and they're not allowing who you've become to be in the room because it's just wrong or what you're sharing is too much or they just don't have the empathy or the emotional intelligence to be there for you, you should absolutely let them go. It's like that saying, blood is thicker than water. Is that even true? Or is that what we've been convinced to believe? Because the truth is, your family right now may not be your family in another lifetime. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say that if you're in an abusive cycle with your family, you may have been in that abusive cycle for lifetimes and you don't even realize it. So, what if you came back in this lifetime to break out of that cycle, to finally put your foot down and let your voice be heard? And if they don't like it, you walk away. The thing about the spiritual journey is that it's not for everyone, but I'm not going to beat around the bush with you because you have to have a lot of discipline on this journey to become who you're meant to become. When you were created as an individual, there was a specific placement that was intended for you. And by placement, I know it sounds a little abstract, but by placement, I mean there's a place where you're supposed to end up when you become self actualized. And when you become self actualized and you've evolved to that degree, there's not going to be any sticky energy on you anymore. You're not going to have any associations to anyone in your life that is toxic because your energy would be affected by that. When you become self actualized, your energy has to be so spick and span. It has to be so clear and so representative of what the intention was for you as a soul on this journey. So, this is why I don't believe in a gray area. I only believe in the black and white. And I didn't always believe that. Believe me, I struggled a lot because I desperately held on to the people in my life, hoping that they would change, hoping that they would eventually get me, hoping that what I shared wouldn't fall on deaf ears. It never actually happened. So I had to look at myself and go, you know what? Maybe this journey isn't owned by me. Maybe I am owned by this journey. Maybe there's something that I can't possibly understand yet, but the feeling within me is unshakable. I can't keep fighting this feeling. I want to fight this feeling because I want to be there for everyone in my life, but I know that I simply can't do that any longer because for all I know, there can be a plan for my life that I don't fully understand, but now I'm beginning to understand it more. With regards to your family, let them go if they're only taking from you. Let them go because they don't want to receive the version of you that you've evolved to be. They only want to keep you in that little box where they get to control you, where they get to be right, where they get to call the shots, and that's not fair to you. So just remember, if you're going to evolve in this life, you can't allow yourself to be disrespected and then be respected. You have to choose one. You can't allow yourself to chase people and be unworthy and then think that you're worthy. They don't go together. It's like water and oil. You have to pick a side. You have to decide who you're going to become. Let someone go, even if it's a family member, let them go if there's not even an ounce of them that's willing to meet you halfway. If there's not even an ounce of them that's willing to hear what you actually have to say and have it land, because a lot of people will say, yeah, I totally get it, but they're not getting anything. They're just pretending. They're in a way bamboozling you. So stop allowing yourself to be bamboozled. You've been programmed long enough. You've been groomed long enough. Take your power back and trust that by freeing up that energy, you're going to arrive at that placement that was initially created for you when you were created. But you will not be able to get there if you're holding on. It's kind of like a car. How can you get to Denver or to Las Vegas if you don't have enough gas in your tank? You can't. Same thing with your energy. If you don't have all of your energy freed up, it's impossible for you to arrive at the destination that was intended for you. Let's move on to your friends now, because I know a lot of you are having problems with your friends. So the signs to look for are when your friends infantilize you, when they treat you like you don't know what you're doing, when they underestimate your intelligence, when they make you feel like you're not consciously choosing to share what you want to share. An example of this would be you're sharing what happened with the person that you're dating, and you're just openly sharing, not wanting any feedback. You're just trying to connect with your friends. But then this friend of yours makes you feel like, I don't think you should do that. Or they make you feel like you're in high school again and they can take it upon themselves to tell you what you should be doing. So that's a theme to look for with your friends. Are they infantilizing you? Are they treating you like you're in kindergarten? I wouldn't waste any time with people like that, because even if you call them out on it, they're going to behave and they're going to pretend that everything's fine. But the amount of time it's going to take them to actually learn that is really long. Like, it's going to take them a very long time to be more empathetic, to actually listen without needing to give advice. So if you have someone in your life who you're always like rolling your eyes inside because they're just not getting you, let them go. Cut the cord. It's not worth it. Find people who are intelligent enough to understand that you're intelligent enough and that you're choosing to share what you're wanting to share. Don't waste your time on people who think that it's a mistake that you're sharing what you're sharing. That's not worth your time. Lastly, let's talk about your romantic relationships. If you're dating somebody, when should you let someone go? When they're not really answering your questions directly. If you are dating somebody and they're being avoidant and they're not really reflecting what's in your heart, they're not supporting you in what you're wanting in life, and they're just constantly avoiding, don't waste your time on people like that, because it might take them 5-10 years to finally have an epiphany that they didn't treat you with the respect and honor that you deserved. People have to have their awakening, or they have to wake up on their own time. You can't do that for them. So I want you to ask yourself, what do you want? And is this person meeting me there? So if you're dating somebody and you want them to commit to you and they're always skirting around the issue and they don't want to answer your questions, let them go. They're not worth it. Okay, they might circle back around in a year from now or in 2 years from now. No, you need to move on with your life. You need to seek out people who are already on your level, who want the same thing as you, and you shouldn't waste any time. I hope that answers the question as to when you should let someone go. If someone is willing to grow and evolve with you, and you can see that they like learning, they're not stuck in their own perspective, then you give them a chance. Again, don't expect them to be perfect. I know for myself, I'm far from perfect, but when I mess up, I apologize. So look for accountability in people, look for honesty in people. A lot of your friends right now are fake, and you don't even realize it because you're too afraid to speak up. So speak up and find out what kind of friend they are. Are they at the caliber of the kind of friendships that you want, or are they just not there? And you haven't wanted to see that. You haven't wanted to accept that reality. So I think it's really important to look for people who are willing to take accountability when they mess up. If they're not saying sorry, if they've never said sorry, if they always want to move on and brush everything under the carpet, they're not worth your time because they're not evolving. So you want to be with people who are evolving because then you'll be in a similar energy where you're actually arriving at that destination that was intended for you. One last thing I'll say is, and I think this is a good analogy, think of a computer. You have these updates. Think of your phone, you have these updates. The people in your life who refuse to change, they're not getting those updates, and you can feel it because there's a chasm between you and them. You're not meeting each other. You're misunderstanding each other, so you keep missing each other. So people like that are not updating their software system. You know you're updating your software system when you do say sorry. You know you're updating your software system when you're willing to listen and admit that you're wrong. But if you think you're always right and you have too much pride to apologize, then people like that who are not updating their system, which is to say they're not evolving themselves, should not be in your life. Now, you're going to think that you're a bad person. Of course you will. Why? I've said this before, because they've gaslit you. So their voice is now in your head and you're guilting yourself for doing what you want to be doing, for attaining your own freedom. Stop doing that to yourself. Love yourself. Know that you deserve to have respect in your life, okay? But you need to stop gaslighting yourself. So I think that's the crux of what I wanted to say today is love yourself, honor yourself, and don't feel bad if you leave people behind because you've got places to go. You've got a very specific place to go. And you may not understand what that looks like or what that entails, but it is a destination that was created for you and you alone. And from that place, you'll be of the greatest service to everyone in the world, everyone in your life, because even though they're not or directly in your life, you're going to be teaching them from afar just by being the shining example of who you've become. So I encourage you to take your power back. I encourage you to trust your feelings. Trust your feelings. If you don't feel right around someone, let them go.